AEW Dynamite starts off with a tag team match between Jon Moxley, Pac versus Jay White and Orange Cassidy. During this match, towards the end of the match, Hangman Adam Page ends up attacking Jon Moxley, causing disqualification. This led to an altercation between Orange Cassidy and Hangman. Hangman ends up attacking Orange Cassidy. They end up brawling. This led to Jay White coming into the mix, attacking Hangman. Then Orange Cassidy goes for an orange punch, but he accidentally hits Jay White. Then he ends up hitting the orange punch on Hangman again. I mean, not again, but he ends up hitting that orange punch on Hangman. Then Jay White comes back and ends up hitting the Blade Runner on Orange Cassidy. And then the Death Riders ends up attacking all three of them, and that's the end of the segment there. This was basically to set up what's going to probably be the main event at World's End, to set up the Fatal 4-Way match at World's End. Overall, I mean, the segment was whatever. I really didn't care for the segment, but we did get we are getting the Fatal 4-Way match at World's End. Very interesting. Well, I know how the match is going to play out for the most part. Interesting to see how good the match will be, because Jon Moxley, in terms of in-ring, I'm not the most interested in him in terms of match quality-wise, but hopefully with Jay White and Hangman into the pit. Now, his match at Full Gear was actually good. I just felt like it was a bit overbooked and they just done a bit too much with the finishers. But overall, the match was good. So, the World's End match should be great. I'm just curious to see how they play this story afterwards, because afterwards, I am very lost in the direction they could go with the contenders who's fighting Jon Moxley, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. After this, we end up getting this led into the next segment with Christian, because Christian was watching the whole thing from like the top, the top area, like in the booth area or whatever. He ends up cutting a promo basically mentioning how he still got the contract and how he will soon be your next AEW World Champion. But then as he's talking, Hook is like outside outside the door, and he ends up coming in and ends up attacking Christian Cage, and then the patriarchy, the rest of the members ends up coming in, but he ends up taking them out as well, building up the feud for Christian and Hook for eventually maybe they have a match at World's End. I'm not really sure, but we still have a few weeks to go until World's End, so maybe they have a match. Not really sure, but this was just to build towards that feud as well. So we'll have to wait and see how that ended up playing out as well. Afterwards, we end up getting Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Page. Adam Cole. I did not watch this match. I know that MJF ended up interfering in the match, but his interference really didn't matter. Adam Cole picks up the victory. Yeah, I'm not gonna really speak too much on this match. This review is gonna be shorter than usual because there was not much on this show to really go over, to really deep dive, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not gonna really go over the match because I didn't watch it because I knew Adam Cole was going to win. There was no reason for me to watch it because it was predictable. Now, predictability isn't bad. I don't mind watching something that's predictable, but the story has to be interesting enough for me to want to watch something predictable. I'm fine with watching a predictable ending or a predictable match. The story just has to be there. The story is not interesting enough for me to really watch and want to invest in it. So I just didn't watch it. And plus, I already knew how it was going to end. And it ended with Adam Cole winning. After the match, though, Kyle O'Reilly ended up not shaking Adam Cole's hand, and he ends up refusing again. So they're still playing the story of them not being on good terms. I don't really care about that story. I also think it kind of doesn't make sense because part of the reason why Kyle is mad is because he allowed Roger, because he mad that Roger Strong got injured after his match with MJF, which I could understand. My only argument would be that, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Kyle O'Reilly come out after Adam Cole? So I understand the whole he allowed his friends to get hurt argument, but it's like you're mad at Adam Cole for allowing Roddy to get hurt, even though you came out to aid Roddy after Adam Cole came out. So Adam Cole came out first before you did, but you claimed to care so much about Roger Trump. It's just confusing to me, but yeah, I don't really care. We know eventually they will make up. I don't know when, but I don't really care. But eventually they will make up and all be on good terms and probably all be back in a faction again. But we'll just have to see how that plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting Darby Allin. He ended up getting interviewed. I think it was by Renee, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, the whole point was basically about the Death Riders talked about Jon Moxley, talked about AEW, how he has to continue to fight for AEW and all that. So it looks like they're prepping Darby to eventually fight Jon Moxley in the because he's gonna still be in the storyline. I thought potentially they may take a break from it, but no, he's still here because there was a moment where he did have an interaction with Claudio on the show, but it wasn't a big interaction. That's why I really didn't go over it. Um, it would be interesting to see if Darby Allin wins his match next week against Will Ospreay. I highly doubt it, but it would be interesting to see if he actually would to win to build him up because he clearly, because I don't know who else will be in contention to face Jon Moxley after the Fatal 4-Way, because I highly doubt they're doing a one-on-one match with Jay White. They could do Hangman one-on-one, possibly, but in terms of just pure baby faces, it's not really that many options. So it'll be interesting to see if he will be the next in line to face Jon Moxley, but I'm interested to see. Well, I'm not even going to say I'm interested to see where it goes because I'm really not. I'm just more so curious to see how they would play this story out. But nonetheless, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, we end up getting Ricochet. Ricochet had a match, Continental Classic match. He ends up winning. The main thing I want to talk about is how he won and the potential of him joining the Hurt Business, because before his match, he was getting interviewed and he ends up pulling out MVP's card, and he ends up saying that the cards are now in his favor, alluding to, the Hurt Business, the card or whatever. And then during the match, the turnbuckle pad ends up coming off, and he ends up using the turnbuckle that doesn't have a pad to his advantage, which is more of a heel thing. So it looks like they're turning Ricochet heel, which could be interesting, could be very interesting. And I think this is something he needs because Ricochet has nothing in AEW. He doesn't. You already blew the Will Ospreay Ricochet match. You already blew away his biggest match, the only match that people cared about. Now no one cares about Ricochet. He needs something. The Hurt Business could be that. Also, now I know some people are saying that they didn't want Ricochet in the Hurt Business because they didn't want him to play second fiddle to Bobby Lashley, which I never understood because Ricochet, he would get, I'm sorry, but Bobby Lashley's just a way bigger star than Ricochet ever could dream. No offense. I don't understand how playing second fiddle to Bobby Lashley when you're Ricochet is a insult. Plus, Ricochet is just not a solos guy in terms of main eventing. He could be a solo mid-card guy, but solos main event, no. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a singles guy in the Hurt Business because I would just assume he would just be a tag team with Shelton Benjamin. But him in the Hurt Business, I'm very interested to see a heel Ricochet because Ricochet never been a heel. As far as I know, he's always been a babyface. So I would love to see him as a heel and see what he could do as a heel. So I think this is very interesting, and I hope this happens, and I can't wait to see how this plays out. Now we get the main event: Mina Shirakawa versus Mariah May for the AEW the Women's World Championship. The match was fine. It was all right. Mariah May wins. The main thing is simple. Toni Storm makes her return, and she returns with her old gimmick, which I actually like. This is good because I did say a few weeks, maybe even a month back, when I was making my Full Gear predictions, when she was doing this whole thing about her retiring, I did say that she will come out as a new version of herself. And, well, technically speaking, it's not a new version, but I do think she will be a slightly different. I don't think she's going to be the exact same character she was previously, but I do think it's going to be some alterations to the character. But overall, she's back to her old gimmick, which I actually like because I thought that she would come back as, like still with the whole, Marilyn Monroe gimmick, just with slight alterations. But no, she completely ditched that. And I think this is good. The only thing I would say is that I wish it wasn't so soon that we're getting this feud again. But based off Tony Khan's booking, it seems like the only woman he knows how to book is Toni Storm. So if Toni Storm is the only way how to make the women's division slightly interesting, then so be it. So we'll see how this story plays out. I'm interested to see in the feud, especially with her having, her going back to her old gimmick, her doing the gimmick change. I'm very interested to see how the dynamic between Mariah May and Toni Storm will play out and how they play off of each other. I'm interested in this. I will say this was easily the most interesting thing on the show. I had a feeling Toni Storm was going to make her return only because this was the main event. No offense to Mariah May and Mina, but This was not main event worthy based off the story. It just wasn't. Because typically they have a Continental Classic match main event. So the fact that this was main eventing kind of gave it away, but I still popped for Toni Storm. So I'm excited to see where this goes. You guys let me know. Overall, this show was it was all right. I'm not gonna say it was good. It was all right. I'm not gonna say, well, it was boring, but it is what it. But the Toni Storm return kind of saved it. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.